Hey everybody, today is August the 31st. The way I see it, the last day of summer. But if you're anything like me, you started getting that Halloween itch a couple weeks ago in mid-August, and this year is definitely no exception. So I thought it'd be fun this fall to take 10 minutes here and there and just discuss all the horror movies released theatrically and horror adjacent movies, I'd say. And I'm not a movie expert. Who really cares what I think? I'm just a guy that's into these movies and likes to talk about them. I go to the movies quite often. If got a night to myself, that's what I'm going to do. My wife and I have a evening away from the kids. We're also probably going to go to the movies. And with the fall approaching, there's nothing better than just putting on a hoodie, getting the right tunes on, and taking a walk to the movie theater. So, I'll briefly start off with some summer releases. I say the big ones in July being Longlegs and Maxine. So, Longlegs, real big buzz, mostly positive reviews from what I can tell. Did I like it? Yes, I give it a 4 out of 5. Great atmosphere. I thought the main actress did a great job. I was really into that character. But I did think the whole Hail Satan stuff was a bit too on the nose and ham-fisted. Kind of made it a little bit less serious to me. And I know the Nicolas Cage character is supposed to look kind of off-putting, but I thought he looked more silly than anything, despite a really good performance. So yeah, again, I'm comfortable giving that a 4 out of 5. Had a pretty big crowd on opening night, which kind of made me realize how much of a buzz it was getting. And for what was a somewhat small movie, it is still playing theaters a couple months later. Just about a month and a half. So Maxine, really like that one. I've seen all 3 pieces of the trilogy in theaters opening weekend, and I like them all somewhat equally. I'd say X was the most action-packed and entertaining in a way. I thought Pearl was the most moody and subtle, and in some ways my personal favorite. Just those scenes, like with her dancing in the field with the scarecrow, at the end when she's just having that crazy smile at the camera, that kind of stuff. Maxine was another success, I'd say. Had the most variety, in a way, kind of most easy watch. Again, I think these are all 4 out of 5 movies for sure, but with Pearl ultimately being my favorite one. So, gonna get into August then. First one I saw in August was Trap with Josh Hartnett. M. Night Shyamalan directed it. I'm gonna give that one a 2.5 out of 5. Doesn't mean it's horrible. Again, just 2.5 out of 5. It's just, I wouldn't recommend it, but it didn't totally suck. Most of that movie appeared to be filmed in the Rogers Center, Skydome in Toronto. I was just by there just yesterday, as a matter of fact. And I thought the movie started off pretty entertaining, but it doesn't take long until you realize exactly what's going on. And there weren't really many curveballs from that point. Some parts were just silly. And like the last act, the ending, wasn't very good at all. M. Night, I mean, I'll probably watch 2/3 of his movies in theaters, so I guess I'm somewhat of a fan. But, like, not for this movie, but, you see past interview text about all of my movies. I put these little details and these Easter eggs you got to keep your eyes open for. And as I'm watching Trap, I'm seeing this one scene where there's a car racing down the road or something, and you see a billboard in the background, an old dusty billboard that says The Watchers, which is, I think, the directorial debut of one of his daughters. And I thought that movie was I heard mostly bad, but I thought it was fine. But anyways, my reaction is, wow, how deep. There's your Easter egg. You're plugging your daughter's movie. As if you don't do enough of that stuff with them. We were talking about Trap with his other daughter having one of the main roles. But again, I didn't hate it, just wouldn't recommend it. That's what a 2.5 is. After that, Cuckoo. Didn't know much about that movie, and I'm surprised it's actually been in my local theater for like 3-4 weeks now. And that was is it a horror movie? I say it's more of a kind of like a thriller, mystery, science fiction thing. It's about a girl who moves in with her dad to up in the mountains in Germany, and things just get weird from there. Yet another movie that gets weaker as it goes on. I thought the performances were pretty good, but once they start revealing, you know, what the bad guy's up to and stuff, it just made me say, who cares? Yeah, it was an okay movie that I thought ended in, again, a who cares kind of conclusion. So what else do we have? Next up was Alien Romulus. So I've been hearing a lot of good and a lot of bad about this. Me personally, yes, I've seen most of the Alien movies in one form or another, but they're definitely not amongst my favorites, and nothing that I have any sentimentality towards. So just took it as it was, and I thought it was really good. I'm gonna give that a 4.25 out of 5. Again, this is a guy who doesn't really have a whole lot to say about the prior Alien movies. I just think, you know, the xenomorphs are just so terrifying and disgusting, and some of the only things that are actually kind of hard to watch in horror. Not because of the violence, but just of the pure disgustingness of it. That gets to me more than the violence. Yes, the cast you don't really care that much about. I think everyone kind of feels the same way on that. But that was a really good crowd for that movie. Didn't hear a peep through the whole thing. I thought kind of near the end, that humanoid looking alien that was the main, I guess, the climax battle, that thing was really disturbing looking, and had that kind of seared into my memory a bit. Really messed up. But yeah, I thought that was a really good movie. And I did see Covenant before that. I remember nothing about it. Prometheus, I remember nothing about it. I just, again, not a big Alien guy. But I recommend Romulus. So what's that? That is 3 movies. So the last 2 before I close it off are going to be The Crow. Is a horror movie? Not really, but, you know, shares that fan base, that aesthetic. And like Alien, I'm not a big Crow guy. I don't have, I don't really care about what they do with the legacy of it. And I've heard nothing but bad things about it, and I gotta say I enjoyed it. Like the villain, I thought was a little silly. Yes, I didn't like the new look of The Crow, but you know, just watching it as a movie, I found it very entertaining. There's not any, like, you know, jump scares, but like very surprising and shocking action sequences that really got me out of my seat. And I'd say definitely made it very violent too. That kind of surprised me. The characters, I didn't hate them as much as I thought I would. And yeah, I'm gonna give that a 3.5 out of 5. I kind of liked it. And then finally, we're going to talk about a lesser known one. It's called Scream. And I heard nothing about it, but it was playing not at my local theater, but a couple towns over. So I forget exactly who's behind it, but it seems to be like a lot of the guys involved in making the Terrifier movies put this out. Definitely a lower budget affair, very violent, kind of funny in spots, definitely a little schlocky. I think that's what they were going for. I'm gonna give that one a 3.25 out of 5. I just find sometimes, like, basically the plot is a family goes on vacation and then some murders start happening around the hotel they're staying at. And it seems to be like a website where people place bets on, I think, one-upping the brutality of the other murderers that are also, wearing masks and attacking this hotel. When these things just kind of keep going on, like not really a twist, just kind of more murders, that doesn't really make a great movie to me. But overall, I'd say it's worth checking out. So I saw a couple other movies just the other day, but I think that's enough for today. And I would think with this heavy fall schedule coming up, probably make 3 or 4 of these by the time Halloween's here. But actually, now I think about it, what else is going on? At home, I haven't been watching a ton of horror movies, but I finally got around to watching Cemetery Man or Della Morte, Della More. I never seen that until now, as much as many people say it's a classic. And I didn't really like it. Definitely more comedy than I anticipated, which is fine. That's what it's supposed to be, but didn't make me laugh once. I hear a lot of people say that, like, the cemetery where most of the movie takes place looks really cool, and I definitely got to give that props, but that was really the only thing I liked about that movie. Exhuma, that's a Korean movie that's on Shudder right now. It's kind of a supernatural thing. Wasn't really into that one either. I'm going to give that one a 3 out of 5. And one movie I never got around to seeing in theaters not that long ago, one of the rare horror movies I missed in theaters, was Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney. I heard that movie was a lot better than it looked. Not just a boring exorcism or nun type movie. That it was an original take on it. It was a somewhat original take, but not that original. And overall, I thought that was a very overrated movie. I'll give that a 3 out of 5. Not great. Halloween tunes. I mean, once we get a little bit into fall, my go-to album that gets me in the mood is definitely Script of the Bridge by the Chameleons. Definitely not a album I put on at a Halloween party. It's a Halloween that an album that tells me fall is here and get into it. So check that one out if you haven't. Definitely kind of a post-punk goth rock thing. I think from probably the early 80s or something. I should know that. And have you heard Neon Nightmare? I don't know if it's going to be an album or just that one song, but there is some guy that put together a total Typo Negative project. They got one song out now called Lost Silver, and that sounds like 95% accurate Typo Negative, and no one really sounds like Typo Negative. I'd say the vocals are probably 90% Pete Steele, not 100, but otherwise it just kind of hits all the spots of a song like Love You to Death does. That's what you're getting there. I'm sure the man behind the band would tell you that he is ripping off Typo Negative on purpose as a tribute, and I'm totally cool with that, and I hope to hear more. And you better believe I got that new Deceased album on pre-order. Hope to get that soon. And like I was saying, I've definitely got a couple other movies I've seen in theaters in the can, and a bunch more to come. And I hope to talk to you guys soon. Thank you.